Good. The next thing we're going to do is a movement upwards. So I'm going to lift that left shoulder up, and when it's at the top, we're going to squeeze the muscle a bit. It's probably the trapezius there, and then when you lower, you're going to slowly let go of that muscle. And as you do that, you might feel it expanding, spreading, widening. So focus on that. Let's try that one more time. So you lift the shoulder up, squeeze the muscle, and as you lower, slowly let go of your grip and feel that muscle spreading, softening, widening. Keep your hand there. I'm going to show you an image we're going to use. We're going to imagine the muscle to be a sponge. So the next time we squeeze it, we're going to imagine squeezing a sponge, and as we lower the shoulder, we're going to imagine the shoulder muscle spreading like a sponge filling with water. So let's try that. And lift the shoulder up. Squeeze the muscle as a sponge, and as you lower, imagine a sponge spreading, filling with water, spreading three-dimensionally, becoming soft and relaxed. You can also shift your hand maybe to another spot as we try again. And shoulder up. Inhale, squeeze the muscle, exhale. Imagine the muscle as sponge spreading, widening, opening, relaxing. And one more time. And shoulder up. Squeeze the muscle as if it were a sponge. Slowly lower it down. Drop your shoulder, melt your shoulder down. Melt, melt, melt. Widen the muscle. And take your hand down. Shrug your shoulders a little bit. And just see if you feel a difference between the two sides. Anyone notice a difference? Success. Which shoulder do you prefer? Another interesting question. So let's just feel the difference a little bit in movement, because we do like to move. So lift the arm you just practiced with and the other arm, and see if you feel a difference in movement. Also notice a difference in maybe stability as you balance on the left side. If you have space to do that on the other side, anyone notice that? So you have an effect to the whole body. And very interesting now, notice the space you have in that lung on that side you practice. So breathe into your left lung, and now breathe into your right lung. Anyone feel a difference? Yeah, so you've got a lot of space and openness there. Are we interested in doing the other side? Okay. Put your hands together. Very good. So this is a combination of different types of imagery, self-touch, and movement. So other side, we start with rolling the shoulder. And as we do this, we focus on fluidity, the fact that we're mostly water, about 70%. And just imagine moving that water around in the shoulder. You can also think of the joints being lubricated. Breathe as you do this, deep inhalation, full exhalation. Very nice. And then lift the shoulder up. Squeeze the muscle as if you're squeezing a sponge, and slowly lower it down. Imagine the muscle widening as if it were a sponge filling with water, spreading, widening, opening. And let's do that again. And lift the shoulder up. Squeeze the muscle as if it were a sponge, and lower the shoulder. Imagine the muscle spreading, widening, softening, opening. Shift your hand to another spot and see if you can do it nice and smooth and slow, both the lifting and lowering. So you lift the shoulder up, squeeze, focus on the image of a sponge filling with water, spreading and softening as you lower the shoulder. Lower, 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 and widen. One more time. Find a nice spot you really need help with. Lift the shoulder up, squeeze it as if you're squeezing a sponge, and then lower it down. Exhale, imagine the shoulder melting down, dropping, dropping, melting, melting, melting. And slowly take your hand away. Shift your arms, shrug your shoulders. So anyone feel a little different? Anyone feel a little more open through here? Breathe into your heart. Notice how that feels to breathe into the area now. It's a little more space and openness. Now, to do our heart breathing, I need to do one brief moment of explanation. So this will be our diaphragm. And as you know, when you inhale, the diaphragm moves down on abdominal breathing, and it moves up when we exhale. So on inhalation, the diaphragm goes down. On exhalation, it goes back. And it so happens that our heart, this obviously is a little bit larger than the actual thing, moves along with the diaphragm. The heart is actually slightly connected to the diaphragm, and so when you inhale, the heart will go down. When you exhale, it will come back up. It's riding like a balloon or a buoy on a wave up and down with your breathing. Very interesting. So it's being moved by your breath. Now, to add on to that, the heart is also suspended from above by the aorta. This is my aorta, like that. And the aorta is very strong support for the heart. And there's also ligaments suspending the heart upward to the neck. So what actually happens, if you look at it in more detail as you breathe, the heart is suspended from above and being moved downwards by the diaphragm. So the heart is being rotated and stretched as you breathe. Breathing is heart exercise, heart wellness, heart fitness, every breath. Yeah? Now, of course, I can't show the stretch here, but you get the general idea. So now I'm not going to mirror. So everyone take your right hand. Take your right hand forward, right hand, and put it on your heart, like that. Yeah? So you're going to have your hand on your sternum, and your fingers are going to be pointing up to the right. Yeah? So there's your heart, and I'm going to show you with this heart, the breathing movement of the heart. So when you inhale, your fingers are going to go down and the wrist up. That's the rotation, exactly. When you exhale, fingers are going to go up, wrist down. So let's do that a few times. Inhale, fingers down, wrist up. Exhale, fingers up, wrist down. And inhale, fingers down, wrist up. Focus on the dance of your heart, the joyful movement of your heart in breathing. Down and rotate, and open like that. And inhale, fingers down, wrist up. Exhale, fingers up, wrist down. Just for a moment, do the opposite. Notice what happens. Inhale and move your fingers up and the wrist down. You feel what happens? It blocks your breathing. So this is a very important part of breathing, is allowing the movement of the heart. So let's do it again, correctly. And fingers down, wrist up. And fingers up, wrist down. Heart happily dancing on your diaphragm, floating on the wave of your diaphragm. Fingers down, wrist up. Fingers up, wrist down. Fingers down, wrist up. Can you imagine it? Yeah? There we go. Just keep your hand there for a moment without moving. Just focus on your heart. Imagine the heart being very high, floating, happy. Send joy and love to your heart. You might already notice your breathing is quite a bit deeper and longer. Take your hand away. Now breathe into your heart and notice how it feels. Also notice your posture, also notice the relaxation in your shoulders. And let's finish up with a little bit of sliding our hands across our heart like that, as you imagine the heart lifting up, floating up. And then exhale as you take your hands down. And we can think, if we want, a high heart is a happy heart. Exactly, and again, a high heart is a happy heart. Inhale and exhale. And last time, a high heart is a happy heart. And take your arms down, shrug your shoulders. Notice your posture, breathing, and notice your state of mind. You might now notice you're a little calmer, breathing is longer and deeper. And now, before we sit down, don't sit down yet. As you sit down, notice how efficiently and elegantly you're going to be doing that. And then when you're sitting, notice how nice it feels to sit in good posture. So we're going to sit down.